we're very pleased to have you here at our facility. We need that off. Turn that one down. All right, is that better? All right. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being the proud conservatives that you are, and thank you for standing up for freedom, for liberty, for justice, for all the things that have made this country the greatest country on the face of the earth. Never before in my lifetime have we stood at the precipice. The enemy is not from without, it's from within. It's insidious. Make no mistake, what's at stake here are your liberties, your freedoms, entrepreneurship, our way of life, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, all of these things that have come together and culminated in where we are today and where we've come from. We've beaten the Nazis, we've beaten communism. Don't beat ourselves. Don't give up your will. Don't let Washington dictate. Ronald Reagan warned us. Government is not the solution to our problems. Government is the problem. Government is the problem. Lincoln said government of the people, by the people, and for the people. He didn't say of some of the people, by a few of the people, for a certain segment of the people. It's for all of us. And that's what we're here about today. I want to introduce someone right now who's on the Walker team, and her fate is also in your hands. We've got two big elections coming up for two various candidates. The first one, besides our good Governor Scott Walker's Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Clayfish. Rebecca needs your vote. Remember, it's different. Things are different now. A vote for the governor is not necessarily a vote for Rebecca. We have to vote for her separately. So let's get out there and make sure we pull that lever as well. Rebecca.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, KEI. Thank all of you. Wow. What a crowd. Back there, I was talking to a friend. You might know him. I said, this moment, this crowd, this area, KEI, being here, it brings back memories, doesn't it? It brings back really good memories, doesn't it? Well, if this brings back memories, then I think that we are about to bring back some very good memories on June 5th. Are you ready to win this? Because we have so many good things to take to the voters and the hardworking families of Wisconsin. Friends, we went from the 8th worst per capita budget deficit in the entire country to no deficit in Wisconsin. We went from 5 years of 5% tax increases to a property tax freeze. Not bad. We went from 3 years of 150,000 jobs lost under the previous administration to actual job gains and the lowest unemployment rate that we have seen since December of 2008. We're going forward. And so we have a choice. Backward, back to the days of tax increases and unemployment and painful job losses, or forward under the leadership of our good Governor Scott Walker. Thank you, guys. Thank you for what you have done. Thank you for what you are about to do, because we know that on your shoulders We will be lifted up to victory again, and the Wisconsin's children will see prosperity under the leadership of a man that you have supported from the very beginning, who will continue to lead our state forward, Governor Scott Walker.
Let's give a big hand for our great Lieutenant Governor, Rebecca Clayfish. And don't forget on June 5th, she's on the ballot separate from me. We're together as a team. We're on the team together, but you got to strike a check for me, and you got to strike a check for Rebecca Clayfish as well. I want to thank you all for coming out on a beautiful day. I've got a couple great guests with me. I'm going to introduce one in just a second. But the most important person for me today is the most important person for me for the last 20 years. That's literally tonight is 20 years since our first date. We met at Saz's, but we didn't have our first date until May 1st, 1992 at the Chancery down in the village of Wauwatosa. It's my wife, my love, the First Lady of Wisconsin, Tonette, who's here with us. You know, Tonette and I want to thank you all, not only for coming out, but so many people have said to us, you know, over the past year, how do you put up with all the grief? You know, how do you put up with the thousands of people that were busted in front of your house? Not the governor's residence, but your house, where our kids live, where my parents live with us. I said, how do you put up with your kids being targeted on Facebook, with all the other grief along the way? And I say it's real simple. You see, for every one person like that, there are 9 or 10-fold that I meet at factories and farms and small businesses all across the state who say, Governor, we're praying for you. And that means the world to us, so we appreciate it. We hear that in our household. I know the Clayfishes hear that. I see Van Wangard, who's running for the state Senate, who's one of the folks we got to uphold over here. I know he hears it. We know just how important that is, and we appreciate it. Now, I'm here in a moment. I'm going to introduce somebody who's got about a year, well, literally a year ahead of me in this battle. A battle to put the power back in the hands of the people, the taxpayers, the hardworking taxpayers of the state. But I want to share a couple thoughts with you real quick before I introduce my good friend Christie. And you know, it's interesting. Last year when we came into office, people said, why did you act so quickly? I said, it's real simple. Wisconsin couldn't wait. We faced both an economic and a fiscal crisis, one of the largest in the country, one of the largest in our state's history, and we had to act on it right away. And let's look 15 months later. Because of our actions, the actions we took together to help put the power back in the hands of the people and not in a handful of just a limited number of big government union bosses, we put the power back where it belongs, in the hands of the people. Think about it. Think about it. In the 3 years before we took office, Wisconsin lost 150,000 private sector jobs. Our unemployment rate under Jim Doyle was at one point above 9%. We said we couldn't wait. If you were taking over a business in trouble, you wouldn't wait a year or 6 months or a year. You'd act on it right away. And that's exactly what we did. And now a year later, our unemployment rate has dropped down to 6.8%, the lowest it's been since 2008. We've seen some 15,600 new private sector jobs in the first 3 months of this year, and our unemployment rate's doing a whole lot better. It's 2 points better than our neighbors to the south in Illinois. Most importantly, we look ahead to the future and we realize not just for the jobs we've already added this year, But looking ahead, we know that we've set the positive foundation for small businesses like K&I and others to build and add jobs here in the state of Wisconsin. Think about it. 2 years ago when Christie came here with Tonette and I, and we traveled the state a couple different spots, and we campaigned. At that time when I was running for governor, Wisconsin didn't have the kind of confidence we needed to build our state and to build more jobs in our state. In fact, the statewide Chamber of Commerce did a survey of job creators in 2010. You know how many thought we were heading the right direction? Just 10%. Just 10%. That same survey was conducted earlier this year. You know how many people say in the employment world, how many employers surveyed say we're heading the right direction right now? 94% say we're heading the right direction. Now I'm competitive, so I want to know what's wrong with the other 6%. But I think we're heading the right direction. You know, another survey just came out last week, and 87% of those surveyed employers said they're going to add more jobs in 2012. But in so many of those surveys, you know what the biggest concern they have about whether they're going to add those jobs now or a few months down the road? It's the recalls. It's the recalls because, you see, they understand that we can either go forward or backwards. We can go back to the days when Jim Doyle was the governor, the same days we'd be going down if Tom Baird or Kathleen Falk or any of the others would become governor of the state, the days when we had double-digit tax increases, billion-dollar budget deficits, and record job loss. We see that right now in Illinois. We see how that doesn't work with 8.8% unemployment. Or instead, we can use the positive foundation that we built together to move this state forward, to move Wisconsin forward, and with your help, that's exactly what we're going to do. You see, we not only help turn the economy around, we're moving our state forward. We're turning things around. We're heading the right direction. We're moving Wisconsin forward. We've helped fix our finances as well. Wisconsin had a $3.6 billion budget deficit, and we balanced it without raising taxes, without massive layoffs of public employees, without cutting things like Medicaid that would hurt needy families and children and seniors, programs to support Badger Care and family care we actually added money to. We did it without the budget gimmicks and tricks they used in the past. Instead, we put in place long-term structural reforms that help us balance not just our state, but our local government budgets for years to come. Most importantly, what we did together was think more about the next generation than we did about the next election. And isn't that what you elect us to do? And most importantly, we make the government work better for the people we elected to serve. Think about it. Years ago, before our reform, school districts all across the state overwhelmingly had to buy their health insurance from just one company. Today, that reform is gone. That issue is gone. Our reforms have empowered our schools and local governments to bid out things like health insurance. That's allowed schools to save tens of millions of dollars. That's money that goes right back into the classroom to help our kids get a great education. On top of that, not only about saving money, but we can now hire and fire based on merit. We can pay based on performance. That means we can put the best and the brightest in our classrooms, and we can keep them there. We're the ones standing up for education. We're the ones standing up for kids. We're the ones that want a better Wisconsin. That's exactly what we're doing. You know, Tonette and I got two boys who go to public schools over in Wauwatosa. I want for every kid like them all across the state to have an even greater state than the one that we inherited. And with your help, we're going to continue to move Wisconsin forward to give our kids and grandkids that kind of future. Now, we don't want to go backwards. We don't want to go back and rehash that same old debate all over again that we had last year, but that's where Tom Baird and Kathleen Falk would take us. We don't want to go backwards down that track. We don't want to go backwards to the days when tax increases, not only at the state level, but property taxes went up through the roof and forced our seniors out of their home and devastated working families all across the state. No, our reforms have brought about the first time in 12 years that property taxes have actually gone down. We want to continue to move Wisconsin forward. We know in the end just how important this election is. And I want to say one last thing about Tonette and I before I introduce my friend Christie. You know, I mentioned your prayers at the beginning, and I appreciate that. I really do. It has lifted us up over the past year. But we get asked all the time beyond that, you know, where do you get the courage to take on these tough issues? And I said, our courage is not any greater. Not any greater than the courage I see from moms and dads just like Tonette and I just about every day here in the state of Wisconsin. She says, I travel the state. I see moms and dads who go off to work at small businesses and factories and farms all across our great state. And they go to work not just to earn a paycheck. They go to work not just to put food on the table or clothes in the back of their children. What I find more often than not are moms and dads like Tonette and I all across the state who go to work to earn enough money to provide a better life for our children. To find a better life for our children. What we did this last year wasn't about politics. In fact, people ask me all the time, where'd this all come from? I said it came from two simple places. One's called Matthew, and the other's called Alexander. Those are my two boys. All of you out there who are moms or dads, all that are grandmas and grandpas know exactly what I'm talking about. We make the tough choices in our life, not just in politics, but in all that we do, and we do it for our kids. We do it for our grandkids. We do it to make sure that they can inherit a better home, a better community, and ultimately a better state than the one that we inherited. That's what this election is all about. Are we going to give them an election where we continue to move forward so that our kids and grandkids have a better future than we had, or are we going to move backwards? I say we move forward, right? That's why I'm here asking for your vote next Tuesday in the primary. That's why I'm asking for your vote on June 5th. And that's why it's such an incredible honor for me to welcome back to the state of Wisconsin a true champion, someone you think about courage personified, someone who gave me a sense of courage a year before I even took office, because he was doing it in arguably one of the toughest places in the country. He stands up and puts the power back in the hands of the taxpayer. He realizes there's no special interest he's not willing to take on behalf of the hardworking taxpayers of his state. He understands, like I just said, it's about making sure our kids and our grandkids have a better future than we had. The great governor of the state of New Jersey, my friend, your friend, Christie.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I tell you, it's great to be back in Wisconsin. I am happy to be back here, and I'll tell you why I'm here. First and foremost, I'm here because Mary Pat and I consider Scott and Tonette friends. We got together well over a year and a half ago, and we came here twice to Wisconsin to campaign with them and to talk about what we were trying to do in New Jersey and what we believed in our hearts that Scott would be able to do for all of you in Wisconsin if you gave him the chance. And not only do we agree politically, and we do, but also we're parents of teenagers, the four of us. There is extraordinary empathy when you are the parents of teenagers, and I will tell you today, I come unaccompanied by any members of the Christie family, although it was a fight. Because my 16-year-old daughter, Sarah, she likes the Walker Boys. And this morning, she was making a compelling argument for why she could make the difference to put Scott Walker over the top on June 5th. But any of you who are or have been parents of 16-year-old girls know she didn't really care about Scott Walker. So she's home in school today safely. An all-girls school, safely. And so I bring greetings from Sarah to the Walker family. And from Mary Pat and everybody else in New Jersey, I will tell you, yeah, New Jersey went through this battle and is going through this battle. We started a little bit earlier than you all did here in Wisconsin. I got elected in 2009, and you heard some of the things Scott said. Let me tell you what things were like in New Jersey in 2009. In the year 2009, just in that year, we lost 117,000 private sector jobs. In the year 2009, we had just ended 8 years of Democratic rule where they had raised taxes and fees at the state level 115 times in 8 years. We had just ended a decade where property taxes in New Jersey had risen 70% in 10 years. We inherited a state budget that was 7 months into the year, that was $2 billion in debt, so bad that in my first week as governor, the state treasurer told me if I didn't immediately, in the next 4 weeks, cut $2 billion in spending, that we would not meet payroll for the second pay period in March. And then we turned around to our next budget year, and we cut that $2 billion, by the way, and we didn't raise taxes on the people in New Jersey. I got a 2-week break and then had to put together my budget for the next fiscal year, which had an $11 billion budget deficit on a $29 billion budget. That's the shape the Democrats and John Corzine left New Jersey in. Scott Walker confronted very much the same problems from Governor Doyle and the Democrats in Madison. And what do we do in New Jersey? We balanced that budget. We balanced that $11 billion budget deficit, again without raising taxes, twice vetoed income tax increases passed by my Democratic legislature, passed our budget, balanced it for the last 2 years in a row, and now this year, New Jersey is going to cut income taxes by July 1st. We've already cut business taxes on our overburdened companies in New Jersey and small businesses. We passed a $2.3 billion business tax cut being phased in over the 4 years of my governorship. How were we able to do this when I walked in the door with a $2 billion budget deficit in the first short year and an $11 billion in the next one? Because we treated the people of New Jersey like adults. We told them the truth. We told them that they had dug a hole, their government had put them in that hole, and the only way to fix our state was to help each other climb out of that hole. It was going to be hard. Everyone was going to have to sacrifice. Everyone was going to be called to the table to sacrifice. But I promised them this: if we sacrificed together, we would benefit together. So this year, they sacrificed for 2 years. Now in year 3, everyone will get a tax cut in the state of New Jersey. That's the way things should work. I tell you this story not to brag on ourselves. I tell you this story to show you what next year is going to look like if you do the right thing on June 5th. See, what I've been able to do is to give Scott and the people of Wisconsin a little preview of what good conservative governance can do for a state that's been wrecked by liberal governance for too long. New Jersey is giving a preview for Wisconsin as to the good things that can happen when you stand up for the people of your state and stand against the special interests who have owned these state capitals for much too long. Well, let me tell you, New Jersey's had an interesting reputation over the years. I was the federal prosecutor there for 7 years before I became governor. And we put away 130 politicians, Republicans and Democrats, in 7 years on corruption charges. Now, this was at the same time. No, don't preview anything now. This is at the same time that we, in popular culture around America, were known for things like The Sopranos and The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and God forbid, the Jersey Shore. You know? But let me remind all you people, good people from Wisconsin, I come with one message you need to remember for me. Everything else is for Walker. But for me, just remember this. Snooki and the situation are from New York, not from New Jersey. They parachute them into New Jersey. They try to make the good people of Wisconsin believe that that's what New Jersey looks like. I swear to you, it isn't. And I will tell you this, because of what we've done over the last 2 years, New Jersey now spends more time being talked about on the Sunday talk shows than the late night talk shows. New Jersey spends more time being talked about on the evening news than on the Daily Show or the Colbert Report. We are now standing up for the principle that if conservative values can work in New Jersey, conservative values can work in Wisconsin, and in every other corner of America, we got to stand up for them. So there's one other reason. There's one other reason I'm here, besides the fact that Scott and Tonette are friends. The other reason is this. For the next 5 weeks, Wisconsin is going to be the center of the American political universe. All the eyes of America for the next 5 weeks are going to be on the state of Wisconsin. For the next 5 weeks, America is going to find out the answer to what is more powerful, the people or the moneyed special interests from Washington, D.C. Wisconsin will answer that question. People are going to find out over the next 5 weeks, is common sense going to rule out over special interests? Wisconsin will answer that question. Over the next 5 weeks, the people of America are going to want to know, do you stand behind courageous leaders who stand for their principles, or do you walk away from them? Wisconsin's going to answer that question for America. And when you answer that question the right way, and you keep Scott Walker in the State House in Madison, believe me, it's going to change America, everybody. I see these signs. I stand with Walker. And the bumper stickers, we stand with Scott Walker. I see them. I've seen them all over Wisconsin since I've been here today. But I have to tell you the truth. I don't like the signs. And here's why. Because everyone knows that the people of Wisconsin stood with this guy and elected him in November 2010. Here's what the people of Wisconsin need to be reminded of. Scott Walker stands with you. When tens of thousands of people crowded your state house, disrupted your government, and tried to scare Scott Walker stood with you. When the moneyed special interests from Washington, D.C. descended into the state of Wisconsin to try to sell fear over courage, Scott Walker stood with you. And now, as they try to do nothing less than reverse the overwhelming Democratic election of the leader of this state, you know Scott Walker. You know his principles. You know what he stands for. And you shouldn't have any doubt over the next 5 weeks about where Scott Walker is going to stand. Scott Walker will stand with you. So I'm proud to be here today. I'm proud to be here today and stand with a man of principle. I'm proud to be here today and visit back again with people who understand how important your vote is. You know, there's lots of cynical people around this country. And you know what? Given how our government has acted in Washington, D.C., they have a right to be cynical about a lot of the people that we've sent there. But you know what? We can't win in America with cynicism. We can't win with self-doubt. We can't win unless we're willing to do our part. And so you'll have lots of people who say to you, when you tell them you showed up here today, they might say to you, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? They're all the same. All politicians are the same, no matter who you vote for. Why do you get involved? Why do you care? Why do you attend a rally? Why do you support a candidate? Why do you get on phone banks? Why do you go door to door? Why do you help people like Scott Walker? Well, let me tell you something. You know that Wisconsin would be a significantly worse place if Mr. Barrett had won this election back in November of 2010. You cannot doubt for a second that Wisconsin is moving forward because you elected a strong leader who's going to make the hard decisions to force Wisconsin forward. You can't doubt that for a second. So, your job for the next 5 weeks, every one of those cynics you find, every one of them, you say to them, you really think Wisconsin would have been a better place if we hadn't stood with Scott Walker in November 2010? Who you vote for makes a difference. Leaders, real leaders, make a difference. Believe me, come to New Jersey. You think it's the same place today as it would have been if we had put John Corzine back in the governor's seat? Leaders make a difference. And so here's your job for the next 5 weeks. I am leaving you with an assignment. Here is your assignment. For the next 5 weeks, you have to go to your friends and your family, to your neighbors and your coworkers, to the people you see at the baseball fields and at the supermarkets, to the people you see in the parking lots at church on Sunday and in the schoolyards when you pick up your kids on Monday. To every one of those people, you need to look them in the eye. And believe me, this is more important than anything else you can do. Look him in the eye and say, I know Scott Walker. I've met him. I've looked him in the eye. I know the man's character. You need to get out and vote for him on June 5th. I give you my word. If everyone in this room does that, then on June 5th, Wisconsin will send the strongest message across America for freedom and liberty that's been sent for a long time by sending Scott Walker back to the State House. He's earned your support. He deserves your support. He needs your support. In case you all were wondering, that was the correct answer. And so, I'm proud to be here in Wisconsin today. I'm proud to stand with my friends, Scott and Tonette. I am proud to be with all of you. New Jersey and Wisconsin, two states that in many ways couldn't be any different, but in many other ways share so many of the same problems, and now are benefiting from the common sense solutions that are being put forward by two guys who care more about making the lives of all of our friends and neighbors better than they care about preserving their own political careers. Those are the type of people you want in office, and I cannot wait to be sitting in my living room on Tuesday, June 5th, and watch Wisconsin make America proud again. Thank you all very much.
Amen.